So if we determine that no, the information was not found, then what we're going to do is we're actually going to apply a second call on that passage. But this time we're going to take a different strategy. We're not going to look for the company founding date. All we're going to do now is for a piece of lookup information that we can then use in conjunction with the secondary source. Hi everybody, welcome to today's video. Today we are going to be taking a crack at the hardest problem in RAG. And no, it's not about embeddings, it's not about model size or architecture, it's not about the context window. What we would actually argue, the single hardest problem in RAG is how to handle not found. So the paradigm of RAG is ultimately there are two components that are sent in every single call to a model. There's some context passage that either could be, a document, a paragraph that you're passing directly, or that is the result of some type of retrieval activity that is then programmatically, aggregated and concatenated and put together and packaged for that model. So there's a passage, a context, and then there's a question. And everything works beautifully when the question can be answered from the passage. What happens when the answer to that question is not found in that passage? It's challenging for a model. It's oftentimes when hallucinations occur or some variant of hallucinations, which can take a variety of different forms. Or it's where the pipeline or the workflow breaks down and you're not able to figure out programmatically, hey, how do I handle this and try to triage it and find some way or alternative strategy perhaps to go find that information. Now, without getting too philosophical about this, a lot of people would say that, right? One of the keys to wisdom, right? Part of what makes us people very useful for a lot of complex activities is that we have some understanding of knowing what we don't know. We have the ability to say, I don't know. We have the ability to interpret, to read something and to conclude, I don't think that the answer to this question is found here. And now let me take an alternative strategy to try to find an answer to it. So the path to doing this is actually really challenging. And what we're going to look at on the next slide is we're going to actually start to walk through a workflow. We're going to walk through the decision tree, if you will, of how can we start to think about a programmatic not found handling with multiple LLM calls embedded in it. And then once we're done actually looking at this conceptually, then we're going to flip over and we're actually going to look at the code and run the demo to walk through this. All right, so where we're going to start this is we have a text passage. And if you've seen a couple of our other videos, this is just a financial earnings statement. And we have a question we're going to ask of that financial earnings statement, which is tell us the company founding date. It's actually a fairly common, straightforward thing to do. It's actually a little unusual. It's not something that you ask every single day. Oh, when was Nike founded as a company? But it's clearly very sensible. It has a concrete answer. And all of us would know contextually, it's very, very rare to have that information in an earnings release. But in that earnings release, there's oftentimes a lot of other dates and information that potentially a model could get confused with. So what we're going to do, we're going to take that earnings statement from Nike, from the company, a famous footwear and apparel company, and we're going to use a model and we're going to try to extract a value from that passage of the company founding date. Now, as I said, in the case where that answer is found, everything is beautiful. That's the easy case. If we find an answer to the question in our passage, we're done. We go ahead and we report that answer. But here's the key thing that we struggle with, I think all of us every single day is, how do you know that you've actually found the answer? Sometimes you get a big, long thing of text back. Well, is that the answer? Is it not the answer? Or is it saying, I don't know, or I didn't find it? Or is it a wrong answer? Where in one form or another, the model has gone astray because it's been confused by the fact that the context and the question didn't line up and there wasn't an answer found in that context. So the real decision path that we want to start to walk down is the no path. We want to be able to first and most importantly determine, okay, we passed a model over this context passage. The company founding date is not there. So that's the first thing is we want to come to that determination in this workflow. No answer has been found. But then we don't want to stop there because ultimately we want to take then the next step, just like what a human being would do is, okay, I read that, I couldn't find the answer. Now, let me go Google it. Let me go look at it on Wikipedia. Let me go look at it in some secondary source. So if we determine that no, the information was not found, then what we're going to do is we're actually going to apply a second call on that passage. But this time we're going to take a different strategy. We're not going to look for the company founding date. All we're going to do now is for a piece of lookup information that we can then use in conjunction with the secondary source. So we're going to look, now we're going to say, all right, you couldn't find the company founding date, but can you at least please tell us what the company name is? So we're going to make a second call then with our LM on that passage to try to get the company name which then we're going to try to use as a lookup in a secondary source. And in this case, we actually are going to use Wikipedia. And we're going to call the Wikipedia API. We're going to pass it that model, the company name that we pulled in our second model call. And then once we've retrieved that information from Wikipedia, this information that we've retrieved from the company name, then we're going to make a third model call. And now, again, we're going to go look for an answer to our question, which is, what was the company founding date? And again, we're going to validate and make sure that, yes, we've actually found it. But if we've found it, then we're done, and we're going to go report the answer. Hopefully, this helps to bring the code to life. Again, we think this is an extremely hard and important problem, and so we wanted to take a minute to sort of walk through what the code is going to show. All right, so with that as a backdrop, let's flip open to the IDE. This is a passage, if you've seen some of our demos, we've used a couple of times. Very standard. You guys probably see it every day whenever you're reading financial news. This was a recent financial earnings release from the company Nike. So this is the text that we're going to be reading. And again, you can read it a bunch of times and you'll see there are some other dates and time periods that are mentioned. The company is mentioned a whole bunch of different times, but the company founding date is not found in this particular passage. So what our script is going to do, as I said, there are going to be 3 model calls. First, we're going to call the slim extract model. And we're going to look for this piece of information, this company founding date. We have a little bit of handling script that's programmatically going to handle that answer. Because one of the things we know from the slim extract tool is it's always going to give us an output that is a dictionary, a Python dictionary with company founding date as the key. And then the value will be a list, and the list will contain one or more answers that were found within that text. So one of the beauties of this is if the value is actually an empty list, then we know that it did not find an answer. In effect, it said, just like what a human being might do, company founding date, 2 brackets, empty list, nothing was found here. So our code is going to handle that programmatically, pick up that response from the LLM, assess if that's in fact what we are getting back, that it did not find the company founding date. If we didn't find the company founding date, then we're going to use the same model and we're going to make a second call. And this time, instead of looking for company founding date, which turned out to be too hard, we're going to go look for the company name. We're then going to take the company name, a company name, which will be the key, the value then. We're going to take that value. We're going to go pass it to the Wikipedia API. We're going to go pull up some information from Wikipedia. And then we're going to make, once we have that passage in hand, we're going to make our third function call. And now again, we're going to go back and ask our question, company founding date. And then we're going to see if this time, if we were more successful in being able to pull that information out of Wikipedia. So again, hopefully the concepts behind this make sense. Let's go ahead and let's dive in. Let's see it running so that we can actually see if we are able to get this right. Okay, so the model is actually being loaded in memory. And you can see, I'll start to talk this through as the process continues here. So first we reviewed it for the company founding date. And this was the response we got back from the LLM. Awesome. Company founding date as the key of a dictionary, an empty list. The empty list, we can easily confirm then programmatically. Empty list means nothing was found. That's a lot better than a big blob of text. It's a lot better than, gee, I'm so sorry I couldn't help you. It's a lot more helpful than, here are 6 other things that you might be interested in. An empty list, we all know how to handle programmatically. It did not find the value for the company founding date. So we're able then to clearly determine that we need to go down that triage path of we need to find another way to go look for this information. So then we made the second model call. The second model call looked for the company name. And in this case, it did find the company name, which was Nike. It passed Nike then to Wikipedia API, and it extracted this really nice passage. Wikipedia always does a great job using the first couple of paragraphs of summarizing the topic really well. And then we made our third call to the model, and this time we called it using that passage that we had pulled up from Wikipedia. And lo and behold, we actually this time found the answer, the correct answer. January 25th, 1964 was the company founding date, and that was in that passage from Wikipedia. So what we've tried to show is that through using function calling models, it gives clear, consistent, predictable outputs. And by being able to do that, we can then handle it in some really simple, if-then logical code. We were able to determine that we didn't have the answer. We were able to do a secondary lookup, call a secondary source, and then ultimately get to the right answer. So we would encourage everybody, this sample code, it is available in our GitHub repository at LLMware. you can pull it up. It's in the Slim Agents section. We would encourage everyone, spend some time really going through this code. There's some really good and reusable recipes as you're thinking about how you handle not found, as well as triage steps that you'd want to take after it. Any questions, issues, comments, please come join us on Discord. We hope everybody has enjoyed today's video, and I hope everybody has a wonderful day up ahead. Thanks, everyone.